Welcome to Lux Innovator Leader Profile Series. I'm very excited to have Antonio Batistini from NEXTCHEM here. He's the Chief Technology and Innovation Officer and one of our esteemed clients in our Executive Partner Program. So I just want to say thank you. It's a privilege to serve your organization, and it's a joy to work with you, Antonio.
Thank you very much. It's my honor and pleasure to be here. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Antonio, let's get started with just a brief overview of what you do at NEXTCHEM and kind of the goals and objectives of your role.
Yes, I started in NEXTCHEM 3.5 years ago. Looks like a month ago. So many things happened, and well, the objective, as you know, MAIRE as a group, which NEXTCHEM is one of the two pillars now, start as a large engineering, procurement, and construction company for chemical plants and chemical technologies. But before, as an EPC provider, we were agnostic about technology. So we were integrating and materializing technology of others. So putting together technologies from other technology providers and materializing the industrial facility to demonstrate the value of technologies. In 2018, MAIRE took the decision to, especially linked to the emerging trends of energy transition and sustainable chemistry, to decided to become also a technology player. So to develop, acquire, promote new technologies, differentiated technologies as a classic technology provider business model. So selling licenses, selling first engineering packages, and therefore position ourselves from an agnostic position to technology to a selective and differentiated and distinctive technology provider. So for this purpose, they decided to hire a Chief Technology Innovation Officer. So my role is really now, since I joined, to create the vision, the pipeline of the technology roadmap that will help us becoming a leading technology provider in competition with a well-established and very strong player like other tops, so UOP, Johnson Matthey, which is now merging with UOP itself, Technip Energy, and so on. So it's a big challenge. But now I think we have a very robust vision of what we want to do in 3 different segments and in 3 different business lines, and we are progressing well, both organically and inorganically, by scouting for new technology, also on a global basis, thanks also to the help of Lux Research, and trying to accelerate bringing new technologies to the market and becoming a reality. So it's very exciting.
It's super exciting. It's such a fascinating journey that you're on. As you look to the future and that vision, what do you see ahead in terms of innovation? What's innovation strategy and the organization preparing for the changes? What are you seeing?
Oh, yes. No, this is, well, first of all, is not only a technical challenge, what we're doing, but it's also a cultural challenge, because you're moving, as I said, from an agnostic type of culture of integration, especially large-scale plants, to becoming a selective, distinctive, differentiated provider of proprietary technologies. And this requires a big shift in the way we're doing things. And in fact, we are slowly but surely changing the way we are working together. So MAIRE is born as by acquisition of very different technology and especially engineering companies and providers with a vertical structure within each of the sister company that we acquired. And now I'm trying hard, and everybody's bought in apparently to move to a more classical cross-functional and matrix level of interaction. So we are working on integrating what we call strategic innovation in a transversal way across the entire organization and the three major business lines that we're now focusing on. And with the objective in strategic innovation to bring any new technologies from tier L1 to a tier L9. So the first commercialization, the realization of the first reference plant. And then at that point, we hand over the technologies to the business line, to the operations units of the business line, which we take care of the incremental innovation part, of course, always keeping a strong dialogue with the strategic innovation team. So if something gets changed, let's say, the way that we configure the process to product architectures that we are commercializing, the project re-enters the strategic innovation funnels, and we do the chemistry or the pilot design in order to demonstrate the scalability of the new technologies. So this way of working cross-functionally in following a rigorous staging gate, not precise, but rigorous, otherwise you get lost in details and you never bring anything to the market. The acceleration I want to have, because at the end of the day, we are not an academic unit. So we need to bring a concept from concept shaping to, let's say, first industrial scaling in maximum, I think, 4 years, including construction of the pilot plant. Otherwise, the MPV 10 associated to any new opportunity is going to be negative from the beginning, so it doesn't make any industrial sense. It's a big cultural change. So that, but this is the way we're going to work. So we're going to have also a strategic marketing organization dedicated to define the addressable opportunities in this big space, and into the addressable opportunities, how much share we're going to get based on the strengths of the unique value proposition of the technologies that we're going to develop and bring to the market. So that is a completely new exercise, but by doing that and following this rigorous stage and gate approach with all the projects we are doing, there is also an higher measurable capacity of determining the investment that we take for every project, and therefore, after commercialization, measure the return on the investments that we're doing. That is something that we can promote on the market and to our investors, and show the value that we are doing by investing into the strategic innovation capabilities that we're building on. For this purpose, we're also building a large and integrated center of excellence where we're going to have our own dedicated lab facilities to do the chemistries and the in vitro, let's say like this, pilot demonstration of a new concept, new chemistries, new catalysts, new ways of doing things. And then we'll have in the same place relatively large facilities where we're going to locate all our industrial demonstration plant. So we're going to demonstrate the scalability of this concept and make leverage of the lab facilities at analytical level to make sure that we monitor and quantify all the products quality and the process characteristics that we're going to sell. So we're going to become a very strong integrated center of excellence, which is also a very nice place where to hire new resources, new skill, and grow the young people to integrate this vision of doing things.
You mentioned academic and the cultural and mindset change. I hear this a lot from R&D and innovation leaders that they're trying to move the way they work from being more academic to more business oriented. What are some of the ways you're driving that kind of change?
Well, we have, as I said, we have, first of all, we need to put priorities on what we're doing. So we cannot do everything, though there is a lot of interesting opportunities. So every day there is something new, and say, oh my God, there is also this one, there is also that one. No. So what I said is very critical, and we've done a great job there to define our technology roadmap and where
Right.
we want to become a leader in terms of technology provider with a very clear definition hypothesis on the key value proposition that we're going to bring to the market to differentiate ourselves and possibly capture a larger share of those addressable opportunities that I discussed before.
Yes.
Though we need to keep an eye in the technology world on a global basis. So we keep on nurturing a relationship and access to universities and research centers, attending conferences, and especially with the research team, and in order to be aware of what is going on and to spot early enough if there is really something disruptive that would make sense to integrate into our technology roadmap. And this comes to the famous discussion of also doing open innovation, so spending
Right.
money into some relationship at academic level in startups and so on. And this is actually the purpose why these 2 days I'm here in Roma, because we are kicking off a study for the next year with the Lewis Business School in Rome and the Professor Chesbrough, which is the inventor of the open innovation concept from the University of Berkeley in California. And I want them to analyze the way we do things and define how a company like our one, which in the standard capitalistic world is always aiming for exclusivity, ownership, and materialization, economic materialization of the vision, of the technical vision. How can we improve and be more effective in the way we collaborate with the external world and also within value chain with external players, and understand earlier than others unmet needs, translate those needs into new realities, and distributing value in a value chain while preserving our exclusivity on the technology core that we want to commercialize directly. So that's an interesting exercise, but it's also part of the cultural change that we need to do.
Yeah, very interesting. And it's a very... How is Lux Research helping you and your organization with these changes and understanding emerging technologies and the work you're doing?
Well, I know Lux Research since many years because I've been using and working with Lux when I was in Dow Chemical. I was the one bringing it in 2010 or something like this. And I must say that during the course of this year, then I moved in Storens and I collaborated a lot with Lux, and then I brought it back into this reality when I joined. And I must say that Lux has been transforming as well over the course of time. And while at the beginning of my experience with Lux, you were merely an excellent database of information for different startups clustered around different market segments and opportunities. Now you are becoming more and more an active consultant and an interpreter also of the trends and the drivers and the different opportunities that are linked to more and more emerging numbers of startups around the world, which is a very difficult work now to do because there are so many that honestly you are not able physically to cover all of them like you were doing in the past. And the past is not 100 years ago, but it's only 10, 15 years ago. So it's a big challenge for Lux, but I saw your transformation is very effective, and I appreciate a lot your direct interaction with myself, with your dedicated people, and also to your expert. And now we're going to have a set of discussion around core thematics that are relevant to us, and you will help us identifying the new trends or spot the new emerging technology drivers into these arenas, as well as you are facilitating networking and with people along the value chains. So having a very useful discussion about how this technology could be integrated with, and very important, adopted early enough by other people with an off-taking or maybe with a supply agreement in an environment which is very different from what it was 15 years ago when I was in Dow Chemical. So is now, you have all this emerging of energy transition requires adoption of new feedstocks and new off-takers, new qualifiers of new materials coming to the market. There is a lot of legislations and directives coming on, and I think you are trying to do an amazing job trying to bring all these elements together and facilitating that dialogue, which is, I think, of paramount importance to people like me and companies like mine, because otherwise you risk to get lost into fast changing and fast growing opportunities and value chains and players around the world. So it's really a great support that you are providing to
Thank you.
people.
I really appreciate that. I almost have a tear in my eye listening to you articulate the change that we have been going through, because it has been intentional, moving beyond our database capabilities and becoming a trusted advisor, particularly to chief technology officers in chemicals and energy, as well as some other industries. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. When you think about the advice and the work we do to help you with both the front end innovation, but also decisions around your roadmap and prioritization, how would you, is there any way to quantify that business value impact in terms of cost savings or time savings? Are you seeing a return on investment in working with Lux?
Yes, and that's something I see this return on the investment we are doing, and I'm talking a lot with my personal mentor and advisor in your company on a daily basis. I see a lot of these materializing and also involving directly Lux into our journey. So we shared with you our technology roadmap, and there is a very good understanding from you and the expert and the advisors in your company about what we're doing. You're really trying to organize this focused audience and meetings where we are going to discuss these thematics. I'm invited to all of your forums, and you're exposing me regularly to people and players that definitely can be of interest to us, because we can create, especially in these new spaces, these famous letter of intents or memorandum of understanding of interest that are really fundamental for a innovative technology provider, because it gives some certainty that there is an interest from the market in what we're doing, and that is putting this pull behind the push that we are doing by developing these new technologies, and also facilitating the understanding from the market needs and drivers, and so that we can really try to translate solutions that can answer best those unmet needs, drivers and pains. Resolution to the market is critical to do real innovation, because otherwise you are the old style innovator, academic. You do something, then you hope that somebody will use it. I'm a firm believer in all my career that innovation starts from the market, and by understanding what is not going well and done well today, that's where you need to work to provide a more effective solution. So often innovation doesn't need the rocket science, but it's simply is a simple word. Simply try to address the unmet needs, pains, and drivers and desires of market space. So which often ends up into the consumer hands, and I got my experience on this in my past lives, and I found this very, very powerful. And you are really facilitating that in a very effective way. So I hope that with the creation of this portfolio, we're going to include, of course, the investment we are doing in the relationship with Lux and making part of the investment amount and which is associated to our new revenues and margins.
Right.
And so there will be a measurable return on the investment from our backlog of value creation in the company, which is part of the strategic innovation portfolio we're trying to create.
Mhm. With all this change, I'm sure alignment, cross-functional collaboration, getting your colleagues across the executive team to agree on decisions. What are some of the tactics and strategies you use to drive alignment and collaboration as part of you being a change leader?
Well, the tactics, internal tactics, so we're doing is to make sure we involve every function in what we're doing. So I believe that this is a real cross-functional exercise. So you cannot work in silos and become and pretend to be an expert on anything. So I think the value is really on bringing expert from every different function and across all the different business lines to really assist in delivering all the elements that then I have the accountability to integrate in the final technology package and business plan that will be behind the materialization of an effective, profitable, and sustainable solution to the market. And also by doing this, you make people part of this innovation journey, and so you make everybody feel important and contributing. So you don't create a culture where sometimes people feel to be on the side or less relevant than others. No, because sometimes when you talk about innovation, everybody wants to be in the innovation because, of course, there is a higher visibility and attention. But in reality, it's not true. So we also need the people we have today in the market and maximize the revenues and margins associated to that, because these are the engine, the fuel that we're going to burn in order to sustain the creation of the new offering. But I think involving them according to their availability and competencies to deliver a common objective, make this journey become our journey, not my journey. And that is the change that we're going to drive from any level in the company, so junior people to senior people, and transversally to all the business line and functions. And it's complicated, but we wrote a very detailed way of collaborating together within each function and what each function can provide to any picture. So we have a clear definition of team. We're using flexible allocation of resources. So the team is focused. We work on this until we achieve the milestones that we set. And then the team gets dissolved and reallocated to different projects or integrated back into the original functions that we're working on and they're working on in the business lines. So that is a flexible way of belonging to a vision that is rewarding to people.
Yeah, and providing clarity, I think, is very important as well. You truly are a great leader. As you look back, what would be one project or initiative you think was really something you're very proud of and learned something from?
In my current role or in my entire professional life?
In your career.
Well, I must say that I had many examples going from developing the materials and the system solution that deliver products that everybody knows, like the Crocs shoes and that everybody, I think, in a way or in another has been wearing, from many other different products and applications. But the one that was the most inspiring to me and gave me the insights of how to innovate was the development of the XLA elastic fibers based on polyolefin materials that came into competition with Lycra from DuPont. Lycra is probably one of the most known brand. in trademark in the world. And when I proposed this idea to develop these polyolefin-based elastic fibers and my time in Dow Chemical, at the beginning, people were kind of having fun and say, "Oh, this is not possible," and lycra is a perfect material. And that's where I really learned that nothing is perfect. And then when we started to deep dive on the characteristics of lycra and the way consumers also were considering using lycra, we found three major deficiencies that lycra had. One is that the elastic fibers from DuPont, excellent material, was too powerful. So the material was really too much elastic. It was very contouring, sport garments, but it was missing on a soft stretch behavior that is the one behind comfort. So elastifying, for example, shirts for men or workwear units or this stuff, lycra was not the best materials. And actually all the way of processing lycra was determined by the ability to kill and control the overstretch power of these materials. And then the second one, we're really coming to the chemical terms, and where temperature resistance and sensitivity and the chemical resistance and sensitivity. So in the past, lycra was very weak in terms of chlorine resistance, so utilization in swimwear or dry cleaning process. So all these kind of applications were kind of impaired by utilizing lycra because it was very poor resistance. I still remember when I had a couple of black jackets with a little bit of lycra inside. And soon you were starting to see white hairs coming out, which was lycra fiber broken. And the same in pressing or in treating thermally the product, which was limiting, for example, the adoption of lycra in combination with temperature-sensitive fiber like wool or silk or so on. So that's where the Dow XLA fiber, and today still called XLA fiber, was overcoming all these limitations and providing real comfortable stretch, very high chemical resistance, very high adaptability to different chemical and temperature environments in combination with fibers that really develop a product that at the end of the day DuPont wanted to buy because was really overcoming all the limitations of lycra. Then there were a lot of political situations that Dow didn't want to sell it to DuPont, but was really a big learning experience. So observe the market, study how people use products, what are the limitations of materials, and then think how you can address those unmet needs and pains, as I said before, and desires, is really helping to really define something fundamentally new and performing.
Absolutely.
And that is nice. And the fiber is still alive, and they sold it to a different producer. And now actually it's owned by an Italian company, and it's still called XLA Fibers, and the company is called Excellence in Italy, and is using their fibers. And so that was a big learning experience.
This is an incredible story. It's a wonderful articulation of what we call at Lux human-centric innovation, the understanding of consumers, deeply understanding their attitudes and beliefs and their needs, and then using technology to innovate and bridge those two things together to invent something new. And it's truly the heart of human-centric innovation. I think your story is quite profound.
It was very contoured.
And what I think most interesting, and I'd like you to talk a little about this, is when someone told you no, you couldn't do it, or no, you shouldn't thinking about something in a different way. What inspired you to have the confidence or that you kept going when you were told not to go?
Yeah, well, that is this part, I think, of personal traits. But
Right.
you could refer to the old story of Ford, when they were saying about
Yeah.
horses and cars. And so I think if you are an innovating spirit, an innovator, you have to believe in what you're doing. Otherwise, and this is, I think, at the foundation of all the startups. There's a lot of people that just try crazy things and they believe in what they're doing, and the resilience is part of the personal traits you need to have, because innovation is a roller coaster. So you go up and down, and the important is like it's like the stock market. The shares can go up and down, but the median always needs to go up. So you need always to show consistent improvement in achieving the declared milestones, and you need to be able to connect and disconnect the dots. So sometimes something that works on something that is completely different from what you're doing, but might gives you the sparkle to ideate and transfer knowledge to completely different application and products and build something totally different. And so that is the normal spirit. And also showing by example. So again, not being closed into silos is very important. So communication is key, showing failure and success to misbelievers is very important, because then you show your progression, you show what you're learning, you show where you're going, you show samples, you show new materials, and slowly also all these people become sponsors and fan of what you're doing. So there is it's a Gaussian distribution, and the ability to have the beginners, the inventors, or the visionary people are, thanks God, a small part of the Gaussian distribution of skills and personalities you have in any company. And then, there are some early adopters, and then the average of the people that will come once you start to physically see what you're doing, and the potential success to that. And that is normal in all the innovation process that you try to materialize. So
we use these interviews as educational materials for the clients of Lux who aren't at your level and aspiring to be a leader. What's one piece of advice you'd give someone who wants to have your job someday?
Well, to people that are in my succession list, is to my only suggestion is to couple. One is to be yourself all the time. So never give up your beliefs, and listen to everybody. Be open to any criticism, suggestions, proposals, because at the end, nobody is born enlightened, and the truth is always in between. And actually, you should favor always a culture of constructive criticism. Very important, constructive, not just criticize for the sake of criticizing, but constructively criticize is very important, because at the end, it is always in between. So believe in what you're doing, never give up, but also be realistic and true. So be able to face the brutal truth all the time, and realize when something can progress and should progress, and try to overcome the hurdles, but also when it is the time to kill something that probably you demonstrated is not going to work. And killing early is a success story as valuable, even more than procrastinating something forever that will never materialize, at least in the way you hypothesized. So that is always my suggestion. Be always honest, fair to your people, motivational, give the energy to overcome the bottoms of cycles that will always be in innovation, and think positive, but also be realistic, and always be able to face brutal truths when they are evident. So you have to face it, not to escape it, and face it.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic advice. I want to say thank you very much for spending some time with me. and giving us your words of wisdom. And again, it's a privilege to serve you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.